cover them all. And that's the angle. Joining me now for reaction here in studio are two political heavyweights, Matt Schlapp on the American Conservative Union side and Philippe Reines, a former advisor to Hillary Clinton, and in California, a man who's written extensively about media hypocrisy, especially when it comes to violent rhetoric, Victor Davis Hanson of the Hoover Institution. Gentlemen, great to see all of you. Philippe.
I don't even know where to start. What do you want me to...
Your reaction.
My reaction is...
Your laughter is what I was writing about. You're laughing both at America or the supporters or the people at the rally?
I'm not laughing at America. I'm laughing because I see what happens if someone just watches this every night. Now, I understand if someone only watches another channel every night. It's very possible that you're not 100% right, you being Fox, and that CNN is not 100% right. And they're somewhere in between. But you don't get any of that. There's no common, I'm not going to be cutesy about common ground, but we were talking earlier about different conspiracy theories. There is nothing I could say to debunk one, because I would say, well, here, look at this Associated Press story, or here, look at this Fox story. There's nothing we all agree upon. So you have this toxic environment in the White House briefing room. I don't think it should be on TV anymore. But you also have a president who is lying. He is lying multiple times a day. He is lying at a rate more than anyone ever has.
It's not true.
It is true.
It's not true.
He has lied 4,229 times
the other day. That's a slime from left-wing outlets. It's exactly what you're talking about. We can agree on truth. There is truth, and there are good reporters.
Do you fact check?
But that does not help. The fact check organizations that all these groups are all paid by your left-wing buddies. And that shouldn't happen. We should have. There is truth, Laura. There is right. There is wrong. By the way, all politicians should be held to that standard. But I agree with you. You can't go out there as a journalist and say you're objective and then be on your Twitter feed making fun of me and my friends and my family on a regular basis. You don't get to have it both ways.
Do you think that the polling on the way that people feel about the media in general, whether they approve or disapprove of the coverage of the president, the majority, it's not a Fox poll,
no,
the majority does not approve of the way they cover the president, and the majority believe they're biased toward the liberal side of the equation. So I know you have your views about the president. I'm trying to keep this argument focused on this conflagration between the media and conservatives and the media and this administration. Victor Davis Hanson, you just wrote a column today about this, about the culture that we live in. Your reaction to what you saw and heard over the last few days and the angle.
Well, I think there's a certain elite that feel that because their aims are so virtuous or they're so enlightened or they're so well educated that the means to achieve them are okay. Take Jim Acosta. In reaction to that, a reporter at Politico said that the people basically at that rally had no teeth and they were garbage. We haven't heard that since Peter Strzok said that people smelled at Walmart. And you get into this deplorable and irredeemable, and you've got political activists that brag on Twitter that they go across from the White House and make noise so the president can't sleep. And it's all predicated on this contempt that they have for a geographical or a sociological or a cultural subset of America, and they're imbued with it. And the irony of it, Laura, is that when you take this Sarah Jeong that is now a member of the New York Times editorial board, she's a product of Berkeley, she's a product of Harvard Law School, and yet she's voicing racist sentiments right out of the Middle Ages. And the same thing with Ocasio-Cortez. She's a Boston University graduate, but she's clueless on the Middle East or on basic economics. So red state America is presented with this paradox that this really well-educated, enlightened elite knows everything, but they really don't. And yet they disparage people on the basis of class, and we're reaping the whirlwind of that.
Yeah,
and I think everybody's got to take a big step back and stop.
You're talking about the new editorial board member of the New York Times, Sarah Young, who said among the most hateful things about white people. I guess when you're not white and you say hateful things about white people, the New York Times will still hire you if you delete your tweets and you say you're sorry. But okay, I'm for redemption. I think that's great. But wow, I mean, I can imagine other people tweeting other things that are more directed in favor of conservatives that were offensive. They would never hire them at the New York Times. Well, he made a point about elites.
We don't know what the rules are anymore.
Yeah, the rules are different. When you say the elites, it's not necessarily about where you go to school. It's the way you look down upon regular people. A lot of those people at the Trump rallies, they don't probably go to fancy clothes stores and buy the fancy clothes. Certainly not like Paul Manafort does. They don't get the cool clothes. Maybe they don't, speak in the same highfalutin terms of other people, but they're good people, and they think America is in trouble, and they think Donald Trump has more answers than the in crowd. That's why they voted for him. They believe he fights for them, and the media don't get that. So focusing on the media, do you believe that they are giving the policies of this administration a fair analysis, Philippe?
I do, and I think you're defining unfair as coming up with a negative outcome, and that's assuming President Trump never makes any mistakes.
No, of course he does. I call him out for mistakes.
You do it on immigration all the time. I think the problem is elite is code for looking down on someone. Soy boy, calling someone beta male, low IQ. This is not one group looking down from a mountain saying, "Oh, the other group is scary."
No, I think people get offended and then they strike back. It's a bad cycle.
You have 100% of the country angry as hell, and there's no way. The media, to some extent, is one of the ways to hash it out, and they have been neutered. You have been neutered. The same way you talk to your crowd, Jim Acosta talks to his crowd.
But he's not an opinion journalist. I am.
That's the difference.
I'm not a reporter. I'm a commentator. I worked for the Reagan administration, and I clerked for Justice Thomas. And I don't pretend to be objective. I am an opinion journalist, but I think I'm fair, and I think there are great reporters out there.
Incredible impact on facts and stories.
Sure,
Sean Hannity has single-handedly given incredible credence to some of the worst conspiracy theories.
No.
First of all, if you're going to come on this network and attack Fox, Philippe, we can do this for an hour.
I'm sitting here. I think
conspiracy theories. You know what I think is a conspiracy theory? Saying garbage people jeering at another person, falsely accuse them of lying, flip them off, someone fetch a fainting cap. Like Mark Caputo, who says the most horrific things as a Politico reporter.
I don't know who she is. I'm not defending her.
Mark Caputo?
No, this Sarah Young person.
Yeah, well, that's the Sarah Young is the.
I think everyone has said things that they should regret, whether they do or not.
Right, but I'm not a reporter. But these people are reporters. They're supposed to be calling balls and strikes, correct?
And they are. And when Sarah Sanders lies to them, they're calling it out.
Real quick.
No. Here's the thing. When Jim Costa goes to a Trump rally,
they're not, though.
They're going to be.
We'll get you in.
Obviously, you're going to have Trump supporters and conservatives. By the way, these are Americans. This is the audience they're trying to get. He can see the hostility in how they cover things. Why doesn't CNN listen to what the American people wants? Their ratings would be better.
I think they'd do better, actually. VDH, final thoughts.
Yeah, the disinterested Shorenstein Center at Harvard gave us a number of reports that 90% of the press coverage, this wasn't opinion journalism, was slanted anti-Trump. So this idea on the one hand and the other hand is really disingenuous. Whether we like it or not, the media is from a particular subset of American life, and they feel it's their odyssey and their journey to delegitimize this president and the people who support him for a variety of cultural and class reasons. And I'm not saying that Trump is an angel, but the coverage is not disinterested, and to suggest it is really pathetic.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much.